All right, you guys, come on in. You guys, there's probably only one of you watching the video, but I'm so used to teaching group classes. I still think that I'm teaching to a group of people all at once. Come on in, settle down, move your shoulders around a little bit. Big breath. Roll your head around. Notice how you are. How's your neck? How are your shoulders? A few deep breaths. You can reach your arms up overhead, stretch up. And then let your hands come down. Stress release yoga. I'm going to breathe out the stress. So just imagining that you're letting that stress out with the breath. Feel that breath flowing in and out. The yoga practice is ultimately about mastering our minds, with this concept that much of our suffering comes from how we perceive things, that we're adding our own life experiences and interpretations into things. And so that, we do that with our bodies. We're adding these societal concepts, pressures into what we think and feel about our bodies. And a lot of times when we come to a physical yoga practice, we have these notions about, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, especially in a group class, right? So this is the nice thing about being at home, is that it's just you and me. And if you've watched my videos or been in my classes, you know that I am in no way perfect. There's plenty of things that I am nowhere near able to do. And that's not what yoga is about. It's really about being in this moment, being mindful, and creating a sense of ease in our minds, our bodies, and our spirits. So what we bring to our practice mentally can either allow it to be a joyful experience or allow it to be a really difficult, unhappy experience. Mindfulness, awareness of what we're thinking about ourselves, and just being here in the moment, just experiencing the moment without adding in these concepts of this is good or this is bad. All right, so even though when we think it's good, then we can overdo it and we can get a little wound up about it, which sometimes in the long run can cause us a bit of suffering. So as our bodies change, and then maybe tomorrow I can't do that thing that I was so excited I could do today, then tomorrow I'm going to be sad about that. Work on just being here in the moment, experiencing the practice. I think you can add a bit of self-love into it without getting too much into this, ego thing about I'm amazing, but just to be kind, have compassion towards yourself. As we go through the practice today, we're going to work on that. Just being in the moment, just experiencing it, almost as though you're like an outsider, just watching with no particular care about where it goes. All right, so that's kind of the mental part of the practice today. Let's take another deep breath. Pull your shoulders back. You can watch that during the day too. Let your head tip down. You can watch how you're interpreting things. We do that a lot, especially if you're having some kind of a confrontational, inhale your arms up, experience with somebody, if you're disagreeing about something. And then we can add in all our own judgments without actually hearing. We're going to take this into a twist. Let your hands come down. Let your right hand come down onto the floor behind you. Without actually really hearing what the other person is saying, we're bringing our own experiences into interpreting what they're saying to us, and vice versa. It's where a lot of conflict comes up. So a lot of suffering, a lot of stress, a lot of unhappiness, because we're not really just in the moment witnessing what's happening. Okay, back through center, arms float up. Exhale, twist to your left side. Let that left hand come down. Lengthen up, just feeling it. Not expecting to turn to any degree here. Just feeling what it's like to turn your body to this side in this moment. Forgetting about what might happen tomorrow, what happened yesterday. Just here. Come back through center. Inhale, arms up. And hands come together. Exhale them down to the heart. Take a full breath. Good. All right, we're going to move it into a down dog or a standing forward fold. I'm going to take out my meditation cushion. Feel your way through this. Again, just being here in the moment. If you know it's early in the day or you've been sitting for a long time, maybe it's the end of the day and you've been at your desk all day, just feel it. Maybe you're going to be happier doing a cat and a dog. On hands and knees, letting your spine lift up and drop down. If you're coming into down dog, curl your toes under, push your hips back. Just experiencing it. How does it feel? It's neither good nor bad. Just observe how it is. It is what it is. We're going to walk feet to the hands if you're doing a standing fold. You can walk back and forth between a standing fold and a down dog. It's going to change a little bit the sensations that you're getting in the body. Pay attention to what you're feeling. So in the sense of things being good, we want to witness what's harmful and what's beneficial. So those things we are adding a little bit of interpretation into. But letting it not be good or bad, but what's beneficial or what's harmful. We work on finding what's beneficial, staying away from what's harmful. So those interpretations, all right, if you're coming into a plank, come on into a plank. Those interpretations often are harmful because they're causing us a lot of stress. Bring your knees down, sit back into a child's pose. Coming into a lunge, we want the right foot forward, however you're going to get there. You can swing that right foot out to the side and then walk it in. You can step it up from a down dog and feel what's happening in this lunge. Woo. Shifting those hips forward. Vary this any way that you feel like it. I feel like I'm going to do a twist here. I'm going to keep my left hand down on the floor. I'm going to twist to open to the right. If that's not feeling like your spot, it could be hands on the floor or hands on the leg. Just experience it. Come back to center. We're going to curl the back toes under. Bring that back knee up. Shift the hips back. We're in kind of a pyramid pose. Lengthen the spine over the right leg. Breathe it out. If things are tight, just notice. If things are loose, just notice. And then we're going to bring this right foot back. You could drop your left knee down first. You can walk your hands to the right and swing that right leg, hands to the left and then swing that right leg back. Stretch out that right leg. Take a breath. And then we're bringing the left foot forward. However you're going to get that left foot forward, feel what's happening on this side. Being here in the moment, experiencing what's happening. Ooh, those hips are tight today. You know, I just stretched them out really good 2 days ago. And here we are today. They're tight again. So everything changes from day to day. If we always expect it to be the same, setting ourselves up for unhappiness. If you're twisting, again, you can keep that right hand down, bring your left arm up, gently twist it out to the left side. Just feel what's going on. Is this beneficial or harmful? And then if your hand's up, bring it back down. Curl your back toes under, bring the knee up, shift the hips back, lengthen the body out over the left leg. Feel the breath. And we're going to bend in the front knee. I'm going to need a few hops here. Bring your back foot forward. You might be able to just do it in one step, or you might need a few hops like I do. Fold in all over the legs. Let your neck relax, let your head drop down. If this isn't good for you, come on up. Beneficial, I guess I should say. And some things may be beneficial, but only for a certain length of time, right? If I stayed here for an hour, probably do me more harm than benefit. All right, if you're ready, come on up. This can be a slow process coming up. You can let yourself level down, your shoulders down, and then bring arms up. So you're not trying to match anybody else's speed but your own. Really just be in the moment, feel what's happening. Hands together overhead. Exhale, hands down to the heart. Feel the breath. Let yourself soften. We're both lifting up. So we're working a little bit. The abdomen's and the spine's long, but then we're also creating this little bit of softness in the body at the same time. Here's a moment where you can remind yourself just to be grateful, to give yourself a little love and gratitude. Give your body a little love. The body that carries you through. To any positive, fun experiences that we are able to have in this life. Our bodies allow us to experience those things. So even if you're struggling with how you're feeling about your body, you can work on that gratitude for all the things that your body lets you do. Even if you're struggling with chronic illness and pain, right? What are the positive things that your body allows you to experience? All right, let's do a wide leg forward fold. Feet wide. We're going to ease it forward. Let your hands come down to wherever they reach. We're just folding forward. If you're doing shoulders, hands to your low back, interlace fingers, and then try to pull those hands up, away from the body, towards the ceiling, towards your head. And come on up, release hands, reach arms up overhead. Hands together, and down to the heart. Big breath. Hands on hips. Right foot turns to the right. Toes point towards the short edge of the mat. Left foot turns in, bend in that right knee. Feel what's happening here. Some days my knee will really bother me in this pose. Some days my hip is a little cranky. If you need to make some adjustments, you can do this little moving around of the knee. Maybe you need to kind of loosen up that hip a little bit by bringing your knee forward and backwards. We're getting this little gentle movement in the hip. Breathing. All right, let's do this on the other side too. And then we'll do extended side angle. So we're just going to try to loosen up this hip a little bit, bending and straightening the leg. All right. I'm going to turn that right foot in, spin the left foot out. And again, bend the knee. Take a moment there. Notice how everything is. And, oh, crack. Everything's cracking today. Sometimes I get this little, I don't know if you can hear it, this little crunching sound. Like Rice Krispies in my knee. I'm just going to bend it, straighten it. There we go, one more time. Then we're going to straighten. Then we're going to spin it back to the right side. Bring your left foot in, turn your right foot out. Again, let your knee bend, let your hips drop down, belly in, spine up. Arms coming up to shoulder height, taking it into extended side angle. Could be your right hand that you're going to rest on that thigh. This is a little not so perfect for me today to bend into this pose. I'm going to try moving my back foot back a little farther. Long spine, stretching out from the hips. Left hand can stay down on the hip, or you can pull that arm up and overhead. Breathe. So again, just a moment to be grateful that your body will allow you to do any variation of this pose. Oh, there goes my elbow. One by one, you're going to hear all my joints crack, I think, today. All right, if you're ready, come on up. Turn your foot in. Turn that right foot in. Left foot out. Bend in that left knee. Arms come on up, so abdomen's in, spine's already lifting. We're taking this time to be mindful, to be grateful. I'm going to lean it sideways. Ooh, right, so even when you get those twinges, still gratitude that you're able to move. Okay, I'm feeling a little bit more on this side. I'm going to be a little more careful coming up. I'm going to bring my right hand down to my hip. I'm going to put my left hand on my thigh and push up. Just my low back was feeling a little vulnerable there. Both feet face the long edge of the mat. Fold in once again, taking your time. Let your head drop down. And then we're going to shift from side to side. Let your right toes turn out. This could be a very small shift. You can just keep your legs straight. You can have both feet facing the long edge of the mat. If your hips will move, you can just stay in the center. And it can be just this tiny little shift of the hips to one side and then to the other so that you're stretching the inner leg. So if your hips are going to the left, you're going to feel it in the inner right leg. If you're bending, walk your hands towards the foot. I usually turn my foot out. My right foot's turning out to the right side as I bend my right knee, letting the inner left leg drop down. And then we're going to take it to the other side. I'm going to let my left toes turn out, bend my left knee, let my inner right leg drop down. Breathe. And then back to center. We'll do a squat, and then we'll do a sun salute. Walk your feet in a bit. Heels hip distance, maybe a little wider than hip distance. Heels turn in towards each other, toes turn out away from each other. Drop your hips down. Take a breath. Bring your left arm against the inside of your left leg. twist open to the right if you're able to. If things are tight and you're not moving, you are not alone. And then right arm presses against the inside of the right leg. My feet are really too far apart. And then we're going to twist open to the left. And then left hand comes back down, tip it into a forward fold. Inhale all the way up. Shake out the legs. Before we do a sun salute, let's try to do a quick grab of the foot. Reaching for left foot with left hand, a dancer pose, getting a little more shoulder opening there. And then changing sides. Reaching for right foot with right hand. Pull the foot back. Open up the shoulder. It's one of those days. It's too cold with the door open. It's too hot with it closed. You're going to see me sweat here. Feet lined up. Facing forward. Facing the short edge of the mat. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, arms out to shoulder height. Fold from the hips. Inhale into half lift. Lengthen out the spine. Exhale, fold in. Bend knees, walk your feet back. Feel what's happening as you come into downward facing dog. How are your arms? How's your energy today? If you're doing a vinyasa, come on into plank. If you're not, you can sit back in child's pose. So come into plank, push your heels back. If you're feeling strong enough, keep your knees up. Otherwise, knees come down, tops of the feet on the floor. Shoulders stay over wrists for bending elbows, bringing chest down. Lengthen out your legs. Pull your legs back away from your shoulders. And then come into your back bend. Chest forward, shoulder blades back, no matter how high or low you are. Chest forward, shoulders back. There we go, other elbow cracked. All right, come on back. Child's pose. Especially on your super stressed days. Allow there to be those little moments of pausing in the middle of movement. Just really work on breathing out, being in the moment, letting everything go. It helps you to recenter and to better interpret what's going to be the next good thing for you to do, rather than when we're just at that pace and we're just kind of moving through the whole practice. Give yourself that moment to settle in and assess how you are. Even without really thinking about assessing it, just gives you that moment to feel what you're experiencing. Let's try to do a little quick pigeon. If you'd rather do a reclining pigeon, roll out on your back, bring your right ankle on top of your left thigh, and then pull that left thigh in. If you're coming into a pigeon pose from hands and knees or down dog, right knee forward and out to the right side, right foot's in front of your left thigh. Walk that left leg back. If you're in pigeon, we're not going to do this one for long. If you're in pigeon, walk your hands back, try to stretch your spine back. You can even reach for back foot here. Sometimes I like to do this at the beginning of the pose. And then, if you like, lower down onto your forearms. Let's do about 5 breaths. if you're in pigeon, you can come on up. You can reach for that back foot if you like. You may not be able to reach it, or it may really kill your knee. Just going with it. If you're on your back, release. You can stretch your right foot up into the air and hold the back of that right leg. If you're in pigeon, we're going to come in to a down dog. Could be hands and knees. Stretch it out. That right leg. If you're going to move into your second side of pigeon from a down dog, kick your left leg up. Knee comes forward. Foot drops down, and then the shin, and then the knee. If you're on your back, you're just changing sides. If you're coming into pigeon, you can do your back bend. Again, you can try to get hold of that back foot. And then we're going to fold forward. Again, about 5 breaths. If you're in pigeon, again, you have this option to reach for back foot. You could do that at the beginning and at the end of the pose. And we're releasing. If you're on your back, release. Stretch out that left leg. Bring your left foot up towards the ceiling. If you were in pigeon, come on into down dog. Breathe. If you're in pigeon, come into child's pose. If you're on your back, you can hug your knees in. Good, and then we're going to make our way up so we can do triangle pose. If you're on your back, take your time to come back up. Allowing this little pause. Come back up into a seated position and then shift on to hands and knees. And then walk feet towards your hands. When you're ready, inhale all the way up. I'm going to take a sip of water. Good. Triangle. We're facing the long side of the mat. We've got our feet wide. Breathing. Observing how the body is now. Hopefully you're starting to feel this bit of softness flowing in. That we've done some poses now. Turn your right foot out to face the short edge of the mat. Let your left foot follow. Triangle, we're keeping the legs straight. We're just bending sideways from the hips. We're not trying to get this right hand to any particular place. We're just working on going sideways from the hip. If you're beginning with arms up, you're going to reach out to that right side and then let the right hand drop down. You're pushing up a bit from that right hand. You don't want to dump down and bend at the waist. We're working on extending the spine out from the hips. There's core engagement here. This bottom hip, in this case the right hip, is pushing forward. The top hip is pulling back. We don't want the pelvis rotating down. When you do this, when you pull this top hip back and push that bottom hip forward, your legs are going to work. You're not going to jam your hand down into the leg. You're still pushing off of that hand, but you're not putting all of the weight onto the hand. Now you're making your legs and your core work by pulling, right, by rotating the pelvis out, not letting it turn down towards the floor. And now you've probably been here way too long. I'm going to bend the knee. coming up. Particularly if you have back problems. If you don't have back problems, you can probably come straight up. Back trouble, bending the knee tends to take some stress off the back. Feet turning to the left. Tailbone down. Already getting this strong stance. Tighten up your legs. Abdomen in. Lift the spine up. Arms coming up. Just be in this moment. Not expecting to get this hand to any particular place. You're just bending sideways. Drop the hand down. When we reach too far, then that pelvis will turn down towards the floor. I'm going to really work on pushing this bottom hip forward, pulling the top hip back as though this top hip were stacked on top of the bottom hip rather than being out in front of it or to the side or whatever. Good, breathe. Legs are really working here to get your hips to line up that way. See if you can soften that raised shoulder blade. All right, coming on up. Take a breath. Let's heel toe the feet together. And line your feet up, bend your knees. Fold in, let your back round. And then we're just going to walk the feet back. If you're not facing the short edge of the mat, turn to face the short edge of your mat. And then come back into forward fold. Hands on the floor and walk your feet back. Come back into a down dog. And then into plank. You're dropping knees. You want to make sure you have good control here. Knees really help you get control. Lower down. Pull your legs back. Come into your back bend. And then lower down, we're going to do a half frog. Half frog, we're getting those inner hips. I'm going to bring your right knee to about hip height. I will sometimes, to get in and out of the pose, lean a little bit to the other side, rolling to my left to get my right knee to come forward or up. I will also often straighten this leg and use my foot, which you can't really see here, to pull my leg out away from the hip a bit, and then I'll bend the knee again. You can turn your body. I will often stay on lower arms here. Maybe I'll wiggle around a little bit here. Just being in this moment, feeling how you are, feeling what's going on in the body. And then just any way you want to work the pose. Soften into it. And as we're still, again, can breathe in some gratitude for the body. We're going to change sides. Again, back trouble. In particular, you can roll to your left. Tight hips might also be helpful to roll away from that bent knee. Come back to center, take a breath. And then if you like, you're going to roll to your right. Bring that left knee up to about hip height. Maybe extend your leg out straight, pull the leg out. And then bend the knee. Settle back in. This time I've had enough time on my lower arms. I'm going to come down a little flatter and rest my head on my hands or arms. I'm going to release this side. You can roll to your right. Bring this left, yeah, which leg is that? Left leg out straight. We're going to push it back into a back bend, whether you're high or low. Come on back into a child's pose. And keep reminding yourself just to experience it. All right, let's just do a butterfly and then we'll go on to our backs. Bring the soles of your feet together. Cobbler's pose. All right, let's do cobbler's pose and then butterfly. I'm going to turn sideways. Feet are together in both poses. Cobbler's pose, we're pulling these feet in as close as we can without hurting ourselves. Just pulling those feet into the body. If that's tight, you can have hands behind you, even lean back a bit. If it's not so tight today, lean forward. And just experience it. And then notice where you're feeling it. We'll do butterfly in a moment. And you just want to look for what are those shifts. All right, if you're folded in, come on up. Now we're going to move our feet forward. Theoretically, somewhere with the feet where they're below your forehead. Depending on how tight you are, your feet are only going to go so far out. If those hips are tight, the knees are up. Doesn't matter. Just experience it. If you can round the back, we're going to let the head drop down and round in. If your neck hurts, lift your head up. So everything will change over time, one way or the other. The body may begin to loosen up, may become a little less uncomfortable, a little less difficult. Or over time, some things may flare up and some poses may become more difficult. Just always working on creating positive change in the body and not being in any particular place. Working on letting go of expecting any particular outcome. And then we're inhaling up so we can lower out onto our backs. Once you get to your back, you can be flat, you can have your feet on the floor, you could pull your knees in. And then we'll take it into a twist. Arms out at about shoulder height. And let your knees drop over to one side. Nice breath. And then back to center. Knees drop over to the other side. And then back to center. Knees pull in. If you're doing happy baby, reach for those feet. You can have your feet together, just like cobbler's pose. You can have those feet just pulled together. Or to come into a happy baby, you're separating the feet, letting your soles point up towards the ceiling. Breathe out. And then if your feet are up, let them come down. Shavasana. Stillness. I'm going to time it today. Get yourself comfortable, whether you're putting something under your knees or under your head, something on your abdomen or over you if it's chilly. All right, we're going to try, oh. All right, I didn't need you there. We're gonna do a 10-minute Shavasana, so that bell's gonna ring at the end. You wanna be comfortable. If it becomes too long for you, or you have the time, but being still with your eyes closed, maybe you can stare out a window or at something calming. Again, letting go of any expectations for your Shavasana. Your body might become uncomfortable and you need to move. Your mind might be super busy today. Just let it be what it is. Just watch it. Experience it. Take a deeper breath. Gently turn your head from side to side. Stretch your arms overhead. Stretch your fingers out wide. Bend your knees and roll to one side. And slowly make your way up into a seated position. If you're sitting with crossed legs, we're going to bring the bottom leg on top. Again, if that's tolerable. Nice and tall, hands at the heart. Big breath. Observe how you are now at the end of practice. I feel a little taller. I know I'm not really, but I do feel it. Thank you all. Here we go again. Thank you for being here, sharing in this practice with me. Namaste.